Got a requested video that I want to do today because I understand this pain. And I don't know how to say this name or if it's even pronounceable. It's from YouTuber PRSLUVCCTX. He says, Crockett, Crockett, love your vids. I would love to see more hand sharpening vids. I just can't seem to get it right and have made zero progress on getting better at free hand sharpening. Dude, I've been there, I get it. So I'm going to show you two things that really helped me in the beginning. Hopefully these can help you too. This trick is well known. First you get a Sharpie, and of course you have your knife. What you're going to do, I'm going to try to do this the best I can behind the camera here, is you're going to mark the blade edge. You're just going to color that in. Flip it over, do it on the other side. What this does is now once you start sharpening it, if you're using an angle that's too high, maybe an angle that's too low, you're going to remove the Sharpie that's on your blade edge, and it'll give you an idea on how to correct your angle. So let's start on a very high angle, and then we'll take a look at the Sharpie and see what it looks like. So this angle is not one that you want to be using. It's a much higher angle. But I'm doing it to illustrate, oh my gosh, this is hard to do. It's very unnatural. I'm doing it to illustrate what it looks like. Okay, you can already see it. You see where it's removed? So the problem is there's not enough of that Sharpie removed, so you're not hitting the bevel that's already been established on the blade. So that tells you, whoa, I'm going way too high. So I'm doing an angle that is too high this way. I need to drop that angle. So I'm going to drop the angle. We're going to run a few across. Now you take a look at it and you say, okay, I've removed a lot of that material, or a lot of the black Sharpie. And you're going to have to get a feel for this. It's not a perfect science. So take a look at the blade. See what it looks like, see where you're removing that black Sharpie marker, and this can help give you a guide about the angle. So this one, okay, I kind of found my angle here. I think I'm pretty good. Now I'm going to switch it over. Sorry, before I do that, one thing, especially if you have a blade that has a more pronounced belly than this one, what you might find is you're actually really good down here removing the Sharpie, but then up here you're not getting the correct angle because it changes just a bit when you're working on the belly end. Something you might find there. Again, don't get discouraged with those type of things. It's all a learning process. So this one I'm going to try to mimic the angle that I had the last time. And the thing I find about hand sharpening, guys, is it doesn't come overnight. At least it didn't for me. That was my experience. It took some time to cultivate. But now that I've got it down, I much prefer hand sharpening over anything else. I just enjoy the process. This is my son's blade, actually. His first blade that I bought him. So again, you'll take a look at it and say, all right, I'm not seeing any of the black magic marker on there, the Sharpie, so I must have done a pretty good job. You can see a little bit right here, but again, that's where you're going to have to evaluate is, did your magic marker float up off the bevel a little bit onto the blade? You know, again, it's not an exact science, but try something like that, and that really helped me going at first. Second trick you might want to try is creating a burr. Now what I mean by that is you're going to stay on one side of the blade. So you're not going to sharpen, 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 sharpen. Rather, you're just going to keep sharpening one side of the blade, and you're going to sharpen so much that it's going to take the metal and there's the steel there, and it's going to fold it over a little bit. So it's going to create this little microscopic burr at the edge of your blade. What that tells you, if you've done that, is that you're getting a correct angle when you're sharpening. So if I'm going too shallow, then it's not going to create that burr, because all I'm doing is basically grinding the flat part of this blade. It's very difficult to see on camera. You can see it in person, especially if you use the light, you can kind of see it. The best way I would recommend, until you train yourself to see it, is take your thumb and you run it down, and you can actually feel it catch on the burr. Sometimes what I'll feel is I'll get a burr to here, but maybe I didn't get the burr well enough here, so I need to correct my angle a little bit. So it tells me what I need to be doing. So I can feel it, I can feel it, I can feel it. Oh, no, there's not a burr on the belly. I need to correct my angle. So I'm going to do that right now. We'll see if it can show up on camera. We'll go from there. After you've done that, we'll do the same process on the other side. And again, what that'll do is, if this is the end of the blade, so this is the cutting part, you'll sharpen, 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 it'll create a little burr, and then you'll go on the other side, you'll actually remove that burr, but you'll sharpen, 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 you'll create another burr. That ensures you're getting that correct angle. Then you have to flip it over one more time and just do a little bit to get rid of that burr to bring it to a nice edge. Hope that makes sense. So to create that burr, first off is I would do the black Sharpie trick, because you want to get used to using the correct angle. And the way I do this, people might have a different opinion. That's lovely. But get where you think your angle is going to be, and I just run it back and forth. I'm not really sharpening or trying to use a lot of pressure on this back one. In fact, I'm using very little pressure when I bring it back. The pressure is more going this direction. Again, kind of hard to do behind the camera here. Now, one thing you got to be somewhat careful here is I can use a pretty steep angle and get a burr going pretty quick. So it's not angle foolproof. Just take that into consideration. So you've done it for a little bit, and then what I would do is just go check it. You just check periodically. I'm not feeling anything. So I need to keep going. A lot of this will depend on the steel you're using, on the aggressiveness of your sharpening stone. Those things will play a factor in this, because if it's a very hard steel, it's going to take you a lot longer. If it's a very aggressive stone, which this one is a medium, and actually I probably need to clean it. Yeah, there's lots of junk on there. Then it's going to take you a while longer. So this is going to take me a little bit, because one, it's not a very aggressive stone, and two, and you don't necessarily want to use one, and two, this is just really dirty and needs to be cleaned so it cuts a little better. Okay, I can feel that burr. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. It's very microscopic. What it looks like is just a little different shiny edge on there. You're not going to be able to see it. And again, it takes time to kind of figure out, is that what I think I'm looking at? Yeah, you'll get to learn. Best way, take your thumbnail, and you can actually feel it catching right there. It's actually in the groove right there at the very, very end of the knife. And again, when you're figuring this out, you can do the other side, and there's nothing. It is a bit of feel. It's hard to translate some of this over in video. So I felt the burr. I can feel the burr. Can feel the burr. Okay. A little bit. That's pretty typical of my process. I'm generally pretty good here. I don't have the burr up here, so I'm not going to worry too much about this part. Now I'm going to focus more here and making sure I get my angle correct, because it's with the belly, it tends to be a little bit different of an angle. Lift it up just a little bit higher. So this part of the blade, it's going to be more of a flat angle. I'm exaggerating on the angle. On the belly, for me, I find I have to kind of raise and kick this end up a little bit. Then I'll come back, check it. I have moved it up a little bit, but it's still not perfect. So it's just kind of a trial and error process. You don't feel that burr, go back to the drawing board. You can adjust your angle a little bit. And again, this will take time, guys. It's not like this is a one and done type of thing. This will take some time, some trial and error. That's why I'd recommend doing this with your cheaper knives first. Okay, now I've got that burr. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to flip it over and do the exact same thing. I'm going to create that burr on this other side. So what I'm going to do is do that, and then I'll come back to you for the final piece. Okay, I've got the burr on this side. So I don't want to keep that burr. Keeping that burr is not good. So now, oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. If I'm sharpening on this side, to the guys that are well aware of this, you already know this, makes sense. But the burr is going to be on the opposite side. It's going to be on the top side of the blade. So bottom side would be the side touching the stone. The burr is going to form on this opposite side. So now that I'm looking at it here, feeling it, there's my burr. I need to get rid of that burr. So I'm going to flip it back over the other side, and I'm just going to try to keep the best angle I can, and just going to run the knife down and get rid of that burr. And then you can start feeling your blade. Okay, where am I? How sharp am I? Do I need to make any touch-ups on this? Do I need to flip it back over here maybe and just do one or two strokes? Pressure, how hard you're pressing the knife down on the stone, is another thing that you want to play with. For me, videos were great to help me learn, but the best way was trial and error, because some of these things that I'm talking about, possibly, some of the things that other people are talking about may not work the best for you. Play around, figure out what works for you. Okay, that side feels good. That side feels just about there. Kind of one light stroke. Okay. I'm happy with that for now. Let's talk about these two methods briefly. The Sharpie marker, I don't use that anymore. I don't need it. That's at the beginning, a training wheel system, so to speak. It's a good visual system to provide the user feedback on how they're doing with maintaining that angle. So what I would do, I would draw that on there, use it. Once it's off, you might want to even try putting on more just to make sure you're maintaining that angle as you go through this process. Second one, with creating the burr, I don't use that one all the time anymore. The only time I do use that one if it's a badly damaged blade or it's very, very dull, because then I just need to grind and get that to where it needs to be. Otherwise, if I'm just maintaining some of the things that I may do, and I don't have an exact system for this, but I might do 10 strokes on one side, 10 on the other, then 8, 8, 6, and 6, or maybe I'll just do 10, 10, drop to 5 and 5, or depending on how sharp the blade is, maybe just a slight touch up. Maybe I'll just do 1, 1, 1 and alternate every side. It varies, I don't know. I'm moody, depends on my mood. So hopefully those things can help you. Those were two that helped me at the beginning. Again, not using the Sharpie marker anymore, but I do use the burr system occasionally when required. I hope that helps. I love hand sharpening, but I understand your frustration in trying to learn. Let me know how it works out. Thanks for watching. See ya.